Tarek was a quiet boy, but everyone who knew him could see his eyes always sparkled when he talked about music. His small room was filled with books, notebooks, and a violin that his grandfather had given him when he was just 7. Every evening, Tarek would sit by his window, letting the sunset light fall on the strings as he practiced slowly, carefully, and with love. Music was his world, and in that world, nothing else mattered. One Monday morning, the principal announced that the school would host a talent showcase. Students were encouraged to perform whatever they wanted, from singing to dancing, from acting to playing instruments. The entire school buzzed with excitement. Some students whispered about who would win. Some planned their songs, and some were nervous because they had never performed in front of anyone. Tarek listened quietly. Deep down, he wanted to participate. He loved music more than anything. But when he shared the idea with some of his teachers, he noticed something strange. A few of them smiled, but their eyes were sharp and cold in a way that made his stomach twist. "Why don't you play the violin, Tarek?" one teacher said. "It will be very entertaining." Tarek's brow furrowed. "You mean, for the showcase?" he asked cautiously. "Yes, for the showcase," the teacher said with a laugh that sounded more like a sneer than encouragement. "Everyone will be watching. It will be memorable." Tarek felt a flicker of unease. Something about the way the teacher said it made him feel like this was not really encouragement. Maybe it was a joke at his expense. But Tarek did not show his feelings. He nodded politely and went to his classroom. At lunch, his best friend, Imran, noticed his quiet mood. "Are you okay, Tarek?" he asked. "You seem worried." Tarek shook his head. "The teachers, they want me to play the violin at the showcase. I think, they might be trying to make fun of me." Imran's eyes widened. "Really? But you are amazing at it. Why would anyone want to make fun?" "I don't know," Tarek said softly. "Sometimes people forget that talent is real, and they think it is funny when someone is confident. I need to be careful." The rest of the day passed slowly. In every class, Tarek felt eyes following him. Some students whispered, and he heard a few laugh quietly when his name came up. He tried to focus on his lessons, but his mind kept returning to the violin. His fingers twitched as if they were already strumming invisible strings. After school, Tarek went home and sat by his desk. He opened the case of his violin and held it carefully, feeling the familiar weight in his hands. He closed his eyes and remembered the lessons his grandfather had taught him. "Music is not about impressing others," his grandfather had said. "It is about telling your story. If you love it, play it. The rest will follow." Tarek took a deep breath. His heart still raced at the thought of performing in front of the whole school, but he remembered the joy he felt when the violin sang beneath his fingers. He picked up the bow and began to play. The notes filled his small room, flowing softly and clearly. The music carried his nervousness away, and with each note, his confidence grew. Over the next few days, Tarek practiced every evening. He experimented with melodies, adding small variations to make the music his own. His sister Mina often sat on the floor near him, listening with wide eyes. "You play so beautifully, Tarek," she said one evening. "Everyone will love it." Tarek smiled. "I hope so, Mina. But I am not playing for them. I am playing for the music." At school, the whispers continued. Some students said Tarek would fail. Others doubted his ability. Even a few teachers exchanged secret glances, waiting for the moment when he would take the stage. Tarek noticed these things, but he did not let them touch him. He had made a decision. He would play, not to prove them wrong, but because he could not imagine doing anything else. By the end of the week, the talent showcase was almost here. The school auditorium was being decorated, chairs were lined up in rows, and posters for the event hung on the walls. Tarek carried his violin carefully to school and kept it in his locker. Every time he touched the case, he felt a strange mixture of fear and excitement. That night, as he lay in bed, he thought about the challenge ahead. It was not just about playing music. It was about standing tall when others expected him to fail. He felt a small smile form on his lips. "I will do this," he whispered to himself. "I will play, and I will love every note I make." Tarek closed his eyes, imagining the stage, the audience, and the first note he would play. He could feel the music ready to flow from his hands, waiting for the perfect moment. Tomorrow, the challenge would begin, and Tarek would face it with courage, heart, and music. The next morning, Tarek woke up early. The sun was just rising, and its light spilled through the window, touching his violin that lay on the desk. He took a deep breath and ran his fingers gently over the strings. Today, he decided, he would practice more seriously than ever before. He knew the talent showcase was approaching, and he wanted every note to be perfect, not for anyone else, but for himself and his love for music. He started with simple exercises, playing scales slowly and carefully. His fingers moved over the strings with growing confidence. Each note was clear and steady, like a small story told through sound. Tarek remembered his grandfather's words, "Music is like life. It needs patience, care, and heart. Never rush it." After finishing the exercises, Tarek picked a song he had been learning for months. It was a piece that spoke of hope and courage, and every time he played it, he felt a warmth in his chest. Today, he tried to add small details, small variations in the melody, to make it more personal. He stopped several times, corrected a note, and tried again. The music was alive in his hands, and he felt proud of every improvement. Mina, his younger sister, sat on the floor near his chair. She watched him with wide eyes. "Tarek, your music is amazing," she said softly. "When you play, it feels like the room is alive." Tarek smiled and nodded. "Thank you, Mina. I just keep practicing. I want to get better every day." "Do you think they will laugh at you at school?" Mina asked cautiously. Tarek paused. He remembered the teacher's smirks and the whispers of some students. "Maybe some people will," he said honestly. "But I am not practicing to please them. I practice because I love it. That is more important than anyone else's opinion." Mina nodded, her eyes shining. "I want to be brave like you," she said. "You already are brave," Tarek replied. "You just need to believe it." After school, Tarek returned to his room and continued practicing. Every day, he added a little more to the song. He learned new techniques, like sliding the bow softly to create gentle sounds and pressing harder to make strong, powerful notes. His confidence grew with each session. Sometimes he made mistakes, and sometimes the music did not sound exactly how he imagined it. But instead of getting frustrated, he tried again. Each mistake became a lesson, each success a small victory. At school, things were different from home. Some students laughed when they saw Tarek carrying his violin. Some whispered mean words, hoping to see him embarrassed. A few teachers watched closely, waiting for the moment when they thought he would fail. Tarek noticed them, but he kept his head high. He did not argue, and he did not respond to the whispers. He knew that worrying about what others thought would not help him play better. One afternoon, while Tarek practiced in the school music room, the music teacher, Mr. Hassan, stopped by. He was a kind man with gentle eyes. He listened quietly as Tarek played a new piece he had been learning. "You have great talent, Tarek," Mr. Hassan said after a long pause. "I can see that you put your heart into every note. Keep practicing like this, and you will amaze everyone." Tarek smiled and thanked him. Mr. Hassan gave him small tips, showing him how to make the sound smoother and how to control the bow better. Tarek listened carefully, practicing the new techniques immediately. he realized that even a little guidance could make his music stronger. Days passed quickly, and the talent showcase was drawing closer. Tarek continued practicing at home every evening. Mina always stayed near him, sometimes singing along softly to the melodies. Their mother brought tea and snacks to encourage them. The house was filled with music, laughter, and determination. One evening, Tarek tried the full song without stopping. He played it from the first note to the last, pouring all his energy and emotion into the music. When the last note faded, he lowered his violin and closed his eyes. For a moment, he felt like he was floating. Every note had been perfect, every rhythm clear, every emotion true. "This is how it should feel," he whispered to himself. "Not perfect for others, but perfect for me." Mina clapped softly. "You did it, Tarek. I knew you could." Tarek laughed quietly. "I still need more practice," he said. "Tomorrow, I will play even better." That night, as Tarek went to bed, he felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. He knew the teachers and some students were still waiting to see him fail. But he also knew something stronger: his love for music, his dedication, and his courage. No matter what happened on stage, he had already grown stronger. The talent showcase was approaching, and Tarek felt ready. Not ready to show off or to prove anyone wrong, but ready to share a piece of his heart through the violin. The challenge ahead was real, but Tarek knew that every hour of practice, every note played in his room, had prepared him for this moment. The morning of the third day of practice, Tarek felt a strange heaviness in his chest. His violin rested on the chair, and he stared at it quietly. For the first time, he wondered what it would really be like to perform in front of the whole school. Would he forget a note? Would the audience laugh? Would the teacher's smirks come true? His sister Mina noticed his silence. "Are you worried, Tarek?" she asked gently. Tarek shook his head, but a small sigh escaped. "A little, Mina. I have practiced so much, but what if it is not enough? What if they are right, and I cannot do it?" Mina placed her small hand on his arm. "You can do it. You have worked so hard. Your music is beautiful. Everyone will see that." Tarek nodded, trying to feel the confidence he had felt before. He picked up his violin and started playing. The first notes were shaky, softer than usual, but as he continued, he felt his fingers remember the music. The melodies began to flow, and he focused only on the sound he created. Slowly, the heaviness in his chest lifted. At school, things were different. Some students whispered as soon as he walked into the hallway. "Do you think he will mess up?" one asked. "I hope he does," another replied quietly, laughing. Tarek heard them but did not respond. He walked with his head high, carrying his violin case like it was part of him. His best friend, Imran, met him near the lockers. "Ignore them, Tarek. They do not know you like I do. You will play better than anyone expects." Tarek smiled faintly. "Thanks, Imran. I just have to remember why I love playing." Even some teachers watched him closely. They whispered to each other and exchanged small smiles, clearly waiting for him to fail. Tarek noticed their eyes but did not let them shake him. He reminded himself, music is for his heart, not theirs. During lunch, Tarek sat alone for a few minutes. He closed his eyes and imagined the stage. He pictured the audience, the lights, and the first note he would play. His hands twitched slightly as he held his violin in his mind. He imagined the melody flowing smoothly, touching hearts, and felt a small spark of courage. When the music period began, Tarek went to the practice room. The space was quiet and empty, just as he liked it. He started his song from the beginning, slowly at first, then with more confidence. Every note was clearer than the day before, and the music seemed to fill the room with warmth. He smiled. Even if some people at school laughed, he knew he could create something beautiful. Later, some students walked by the practice room and peeked inside. One of them whispered, "Why does he think he can do this? It will be funny when he messes up." Tarek heard the whispers. For a moment, doubt flickered in his mind. He stopped playing and took a deep breath. He remembered his sister's words, his grandfather's advice, and the hours he had practiced alone. He picked up the bow again and played a single note. It sounded strong and steady. That note reminded him of who he was. By the end of the day, Tarek was tired but determined. He had played for hours, refining every section of the song. He knew he could do it, but he also knew that performing in front of an audience was different from playing alone. He could control the music in his room, but in front of hundreds of eyes, anything could happen. That evening, Tarek went home and told his mother about his worries. She listened carefully and smiled. "Tarek, everyone feels doubt sometimes. The difference is who faces it. You are brave because you do not let fear stop you. You practice, you learn, and you try. That is what matters." Tarek nodded. Her words were like a gentle shield, protecting him from the negative thoughts. He picked up his violin and played one more time before dinner. This time, the music was stronger, full of courage and determination. He felt proud of himself, even if no one else could hear it. Before going to bed, Tarek thought about the next day, the day he would perform in front of the school. He imagined the first note, the rising melody, and the final powerful chord. He pictured the teachers' surprised faces, the students' reactions, and most of all, his own heart, full of music. For the first time in days, he did not feel nervous. He felt ready. The doubt had been there, but he had faced it and turned it into strength. He realized that the challenge was not about proving anyone wrong, it was about showing the courage that comes from believing in oneself and one's passion. As Tarek closed his eyes, the violin leaned against his desk, waiting silently. Tomorrow, he would face the audience. Tomorrow, he would play not for anyone else, but for the music inside him. And that was more than enough to give him the courage to succeed. The morning of the talent showcase arrived with a soft golden light. Tarek woke early, feeling a mixture of excitement and nervousness. Today was the day he would stand on stage in front of the entire school. He dressed carefully, making sure his clothes were neat, and gently placed his violin in its case. His hands trembled slightly, but he took a deep breath to calm himself. Mina was already waiting at the kitchen table. She smiled brightly. "Today is your day, Tarek. Remember, it is not about anyone else. Play for yourself and your music." Tarek smiled and nodded. "I will, Mina. Thank you for believing in me." At school, the auditorium was buzzing with energy. Students were finding their seats, chatting with excitement. Teachers walked among the rows, checking lists and arranging programs. Posters of the talent showcase decorated the walls, and a bright stage awaited the performers. Tarek carried his violin case carefully and went backstage, where other students were preparing. Some were practicing last-minute songs, some were stretching, and some were nervously pacing. Imran came up to him. "You will do great, Tarek. Just remember, your music is amazing. Everyone will feel it." Tarek nodded, feeling a small wave of confidence. He took a deep breath and closed his eyes, imagining the first note of his song. He remembered every hour of practice, every lesson, every note he had played in his room. All of it had led to this moment. When the announcer called the first performer, Tarek watched quietly. Some students clapped, and some laughed at mistakes. He reminded himself that his focus was on the music, not the reactions. He practiced a few notes quietly, keeping his hands steady. Finally, it was Tarek's turn. A teacher called his name, and he stepped forward. The stage lights shone warmly, and the audience turned to watch. For a moment, He felt the nervousness return, but then he remembered Mina's words and his grandfather's advice. He raised his violin, held the bow, and took a deep breath. The first note rang out softly, trembling just a little. The audience leaned forward, curious. As Tarek continued, his confidence grew. The melodies flowed smoothly, rising and falling like waves. Every note was filled with feeling, every pause intentional. Students stopped talking, teachers stopped whispering, and the entire auditorium became silent, listening to the music. Tarek's song was not just a performance, it was a story. He played the feelings he had carried for weeks: hope, courage, patience, and love for music. Each note told a piece of that story. The music filled the room, touching hearts and stirring emotions. Even the teachers who had planned to see him fail felt a shift inside. The smirks faded, replaced by quiet astonishment. As he reached the middle of the piece, Tarek felt the energy of the music flow through him. He had practiced every day, but now it was alive in the moment. His fingers moved freely over the strings, and the bow danced across them with precision and grace. The music was strong, beautiful, and full of life. The final notes approached. Tarek played them with strength and emotion, letting the sound linger in the air. The last chord resonated, and for a moment, the auditorium was completely silent. Then the applause began. First soft, then louder, until the entire room was clapping and cheering. Students stood on their feet, clapping and whistling. Teachers clapped with wide eyes, some leaning forward in amazement. Tarek lowered his violin and smiled. He felt a warm glow in his chest, not from praise, but from sharing something he loved. He bowed politely, acknowledging the audience and the support he had received. Every clap, every cheer, was a reminder that dedication and passion could overcome doubt and fear. Backstage, Imran and Mina rushed to congratulate him. "You were amazing, Tarek," Imran said. "I knew you could do it." Mina hugged him tightly. "I am so proud of you. You played with all your heart." Tarek smiled and hugged them back. "Thank you. I just played what I feel. That is all I wanted to do." Even the teachers who had planned to humiliate him came over, their faces serious. "Tarek," one said quietly, "we underestimated you. Your performance was extraordinary." Tarek nodded politely. "Thank you, sir. I just love music." As the next performers took the stage, Tarek stood quietly, feeling a sense of calm. He had faced the audience, played his heart, and shared his story. The challenge had been real, but he had met it with courage and skill. By the end of the day, the talent showcase had become more than a school event. It was a moment of triumph for Tarek, proof that dedication and love for something could shine brighter than doubt or expectation. He knew this was just the beginning of his journey with music, and he felt ready for whatever came next. Tarek's hands still shook slightly as he stepped back from the stage after his first few notes had been played. The applause had been loud, but his heart wanted more than just claps. He wanted every note of his music to reach the audience, to tell them the story he had kept inside for so long. As he lifted his violin for the second part of the performance, a hush fell over the auditorium. Students leaned forward in their seats, some whispering excitedly to each other. Teachers, who had once planned to see him fail, now watched in quiet amazement. Tarek felt their eyes on him, but he did not let them distract him. He focused only on the music, letting it flow from his fingers and bow. The opening notes were soft, almost fragile, like a small bird taking its first flight. Then, slowly, the music grew stronger, carrying more emotion with every movement. Tarek closed his eyes, letting the melody guide him. Each note spoke of hope and courage, of patience and determination, of long hours spent practicing alone. The music was no longer just sound, it was a story, alive in the room. He could hear the subtle shifts in the audience. Some students' eyes widened in surprise, others whispered to their friends, trying to describe the beauty they were hearing. Even the teachers, who had expected embarrassment, felt a quiet awe. Tarek's fingers moved faster and smoother now, each note clear and precise, yet full of feeling. The middle section of the piece was the most challenging. It required both strength and control, and Tarek had practiced it countless times in his room. His bow moved with a steady rhythm, gliding over the strings, creating rich, powerful tones. The music filled the auditorium, wrapping around everyone like a warm embrace. Some students had tears in their eyes, moved by the beauty of what they were hearing. Tarek's mind was fully focused, but he noticed something special. The energy from the audience, their silent attention, seemed to feed his playing. The music became bolder, more expressive, and more alive. He added small variations to the melody, little touches that made the song uniquely his. Every note carried emotion, every pause was meaningful, every sound told a story. For the first time, Tarek felt a deep connection with the people watching him. The fear he had felt before stepping onto the stage was gone. There was only the music and the joy of sharing it. The audience felt it too. They were no longer watching a student perform, they were listening to someone who had dedicated himself to his passion. As the final notes approached, Tarek slowed slightly, letting each sound linger. The ending was powerful and emotional, a perfect balance of strength and gentleness. He played with every ounce of energy he had left, pouring his heart into the last chord. When the final note faded, the auditorium was silent for a moment, as if everyone were holding their breath. Then, a wave of applause and cheers filled the room. Students jumped to their feet, clapping and shouting with excitement. Teachers clapped loudly, some with wide eyes and open mouths, clearly stunned by what they had just witnessed. Tarek lowered his violin, feeling a warm glow in his chest. He had not only played music, he had shared a piece of his heart, and everyone had felt it. Backstage, Imran and Mina ran to congratulate him. "You were incredible, Tarek," Imran said, his voice full of excitement. "Everyone loved it. I have never seen anything like it." Mina hugged him tightly. "I told you, Tarek. Your music is magical. You made everyone stop and listen." Tarek smiled, feeling a quiet pride. "Thank you. I just played what I feel. That is all I wanted to do." Even the teachers who had planned to humiliate him approached, their faces serious but respectful. "Tarek," one said softly, "you have an extraordinary talent. Your performance today was unforgettable. We underestimated you." Tarek nodded politely. "Thank you. I just love music. That is all I can do." As he stepped off the stage, Tarek felt lighter than he had in weeks. The challenge had been real, but he had faced it with courage and dedication. He had turned doubt and fear into music, and it had worked. The audience's reaction was not just a reward, it was proof that passion and hard work could overcome any expectation. That evening, as the school announced the results, Tarek had already realized that winning or losing did not matter. He had achieved something far greater, the joy of sharing his music and the respect of everyone who had witnessed it. The applause, the cheers, and the astonished faces were memories he would carry forever. Tarek looked at his violin, resting safely in its case. The instrument had been with him through every practice, every doubt, every moment of courage. Today, it had spoken for him when words could not. And Tarek knew that this was only the beginning of his journey, a journey filled with music, determination, and the courage to face any challenge. As Tarek stepped off the stage, the applause still echoed in the auditorium. The energy of the room was alive with excitement and admiration. Students whispered to one another, trying to process what they had just seen. Teachers looked at each other, some shaking their heads in disbelief. The plan to humiliate Tarek had completely failed. Instead, he had left everyone speechless with his talent. Backstage, Imran and Mina hugged him tightly. "You did it, Tarek. Everyone is talking about you, Imran said, smiling from ear to ear. Mina's eyes shone brightly. I am so proud of you. You played with all your heart. You showed everyone who you are. Tarek smiled softly, feeling warmth in his chest. I just played the music I love. That is all. As the students began to leave their seats, the whispers turned into conversations of admiration. Did you see how he played the middle part? It was perfect, one student said. I know. I could feel every note, another replied. Even some of the teachers who had been skeptical approached him quietly. One older teacher said, Tarek, I must admit, we misjudged you. Your performance was extraordinary. You have talent that is rare. Tarek nodded politely. Thank you, sir. I have practiced for a long time, and I love music. The principal, who had been observing from the front of the room, walked toward him with a smile. Tarek, your performance today was remarkable. You have shown courage and dedication. You should be proud of yourself. Tarek felt a rush of happiness but remained humble. I am proud, sir. I just hope my music made people feel something. It did. Students and teachers alike had felt it. The entire auditorium had been quiet, absorbed in every note he played. Many students approached him afterward to congratulate him personally. Some admitted they had doubted him before, but now they wanted to learn from his dedication and love for music. During the rest of the day, Tarek noticed something unexpected. Students who had teased him or whispered doubts now looked at him with respect. Some even apologized quietly. He smiled and thanked them, but he did not need apologies. His focus had always been the music, not proving anyone wrong. By the evening, news of Tarek's performance had spread beyond the school. Teachers who had once been planning to embarrass him had a new perspective. They realized that underestimating someone could lead to regret. Tarek had turned the situation around, not through confrontation, but through talent, dedication, and heart. At home, Tarek's mother listened as Mina and Imran excitedly recounted every detail of the performance. She smiled warmly at Tarek. You have shown courage today. Not just in playing music, but in believing in yourself when others doubted you. Tarek nodded quietly. I was nervous at first, but I remembered why I love music. That is what helped me. It is not about anyone else, it is about what I feel when I play. His mother placed her hand on his shoulder. That is a very important lesson, Tarek. You have shown everyone that passion and hard work can overcome fear and doubt. Tarek went to his room that night, carefully placing his violin in its case. He sat on his bed and reflected on the day. The applause, the cheers, and the astonished faces were still vivid in his mind. But more than that, he remembered how he had felt while playing. The joy, the courage, and the connection to the music had been the real reward. He realized that the teacher's plan to humiliate him had taught him an important lesson as well. Challenges would always appear in life, sometimes in the form of doubt from others. But with dedication, patience, and belief in oneself, it was possible to turn those challenges into triumphs. Mina came to his room, holding a small notebook. I wrote down all the things I felt while you were playing, Tarek. You inspired me so much today. Tarek smiled and took the notebook. Thank you, Mina. I hope you always remember that you can do anything if you love it and practice. As the night grew quieter, Tarek felt a calm sense of pride. The talent showcase had been more than just a school event, it had become a moment of recognition for his dedication and courage. He had faced doubt, fear, and even planned humiliation, but he had emerged stronger and more confident. Tarek knew that this was only the beginning. There would be more challenges ahead, more opportunities to share his music, and more moments to prove to himself what he could achieve. But for now, he could rest, knowing that he had faced one of his biggest challenges and had turned it into a moment of triumph. As he drifted off to sleep, Tarek's mind replayed the notes of his song. Every note reminded him that passion, courage, and love for what one does could inspire others and create something unforgettable. He smiled, knowing that the music inside him would always guide his path. The morning after the talent showcase, Tarek woke up with a quiet excitement. The memory of the previous day's performance still lingered in his mind, warm and bright. He had faced the audience, played every note with courage, and shared the music that lived in his heart. The applause, the cheers, and the astonished faces had left a mark on him that he would never forget. When he arrived at school, the atmosphere was different. Students whispered and pointed, but this time it was not with mockery or doubt. They talked about Tarek with respect, curiosity, and admiration. "Did you see Tarek's performance yesterday? It was amazing," one student said. "His music, it felt like it told a story." "I have never felt that before," another replied. Even teachers greeted him with smiles and nods of recognition. The principal called him to the office. "Tarek," he said warmly, "your performance yesterday was extraordinary. You showed talent, courage, and dedication. The entire school witnessed something special." Tarek nodded, feeling a mixture of pride and humility. "Thank you, sir. I just love playing music, and I wanted to share it with everyone." The principal smiled. "And you did. You have inspired not only the students but also the teachers. Remember this feeling, Tarek. It will guide you in everything you do." As he walked through the hallways, many students came to congratulate him. Some admitted they had doubted him, some apologized, and some simply wanted to hear about his practice and dedication. Tarek listened to all of them politely, feeling a quiet satisfaction. The recognition was not about proving anyone wrong, it was about the joy of sharing something he loved. During lunch, Imran and Mina sat with him, talking excitedly. "Tarek, you have inspired so many people," Imran said. "Some students told me they want to start practicing music because of you." Mina nodded eagerly. "I want to learn more too. You made me believe I can do anything if I try hard and love it." Tarek smiled softly. "That is all I hope for. Music is not just about performing. It is about inspiring, sharing, and feeling. If others want to try, I am happy to help them." Even in the classrooms, the story of his performance spread. Teachers discussed his dedication and how he had turned a challenge into a triumph. They realized that talent combined with practice, courage, and passion could achieve things that no plan of humiliation or doubt could stop. Tarek had taught them a lesson without saying a word. That afternoon, the music teacher, Mr. Hassan, approached him. "Tarek, I think you have a gift that can reach far beyond this school. Have you ever considered performing in competitions or learning advanced music techniques? You have potential that is rare." Tarek felt a spark of excitement. "I have thought about it, sir. I want to learn more and play more, to see how far I can go with music." Mr. Hassan smiled. "Then I will help you. There are many opportunities, and I believe you can achieve great things." Back home, Tarek sat with his family, reflecting on everything that had happened. His mother placed a hand on his shoulder. "Tarek, you have done more than play music. You have shown everyone that dedication, love, and courage can overcome any doubt. I am proud of you." Tarek looked at his violin and felt a deep sense of gratitude. The instrument had been with him through every challenge, every practice, and every moment of courage. It had helped him express what words could not, and it had given him the strength to face fear and doubt. Mina handed him a small drawing she had made. It showed Tarek on stage, playing the violin with notes floating around like magic. "This is how I saw you," she said. "You made music beautiful for everyone." Tarek smiled and hugged her. "Thank you, Mina. That means a lot. I hope you always remember to follow what you love, no matter what others say." The days after the showcase were filled with small but meaningful moments. Students asked Tarek for advice on practicing, teachers invited him to perform in school events, and his family supported him in every step. The recognition he received was not just for talent but for courage, patience, and the love he had shown for music. Tarek realized that his journey had only just begun. There would be more challenges, more performances, and more doubts along the way. But now he knew that with dedication, patience, and love for what he did, he could face anything. The music inside him would always guide his path. As he played his violin in his room that evening, Tarek felt joy flowing through every note. Each melody carried the lessons he had learned, the courage he had found, and the inspiration he had given to others. He smiled, knowing that the music was not just for himself but for everyone who would listen and feel the story he told with his heart. And in that moment, Tarek understood something important: true success is not measured by applause or recognition, but by the courage to follow your passion and the ability to inspire others along the way. Tarek closed his eyes, letting the final notes linger in the room. The journey ahead was long, but he was ready. Music was his path, and he would follow it with courage, heart, and determination.